It was a Tuesday when everything began to unravel. I sat at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, staring at the wall, my mind drifting in and out of thoughts. My wife, Jessica, had been acting weird for a while. We'd been married for 6 years, and I thought I knew her well, but recently she'd become distant. The little quirks that once made her endearing felt more like signs of a storm brewing. I brushed it off for weeks. Maybe she was just stressed with her job or planning something special for my birthday coming up. I wanted to believe that, but the signs became harder to ignore. First, it was the late nights. Jessica would claim she was working late at the office, but I'd see her car parked outside the gym deep into the evening. I tried to reason that maybe she was just trying to get in shape, but when she started wearing tighter clothes, the kind she'd never worn before, it felt like a red flag. The subtle changes in her behavior added up. She'd laugh a little too hard at her phone, and when I'd walk in, she'd quickly lock it, saying it was nothing important. One day, I decided to confront her gently. I asked if everything was okay, if she needed to talk about anything. Her response, a dismissive wave and that classic line, "You worry too much, babe." But I didn't feel like a fool for worrying. I had a gut feeling that something was off. Maybe my instincts were just overly sensitive, but I couldn't shake it. The breaking point came one Saturday afternoon. I was supposed to go out with friends for a few drinks, but I decided to surprise Jessica and take her out for lunch instead. As luck would have it, I finished packing my bag early and I found myself driving toward her office. I thought I might catch her before she left or maybe take her somewhere nice. But as I pulled up, I saw something that sent my heart plummeting. Jessica was getting into a car with another guy. It wasn't just any guy. It was her coworker, Matt. I knew him. He was always hanging around her during office parties, making jokes that made my skin crawl. I had brushed it off as harmless banter, but seeing them together, smiling and laughing, was a punch to my gut. They drove away together and I was left there, frozen in disbelief. My brain raced. Was my life a lie? How long had this been going on? I didn't follow them. Instead, I turned around and went home, my heart pounding in my chest. I sat on our couch, staring at the wall again, wondering what to do. My mind was a chaotic swirl of emotions. Anger, betrayal, sadness, it all rushed in at once. I felt nausea creeping up my throat and my hands trembled. How could she do this to me? I thought we were happy, or at least I was. The rest of the day was a blur. I couldn't eat. I couldn't think straight. My mind replayed the image of her laughing with him. I went over every interaction we'd had, trying to piece together the timeline of deception. I felt like a detective in my own miserable story, piecing together clues to solve the mystery of how someone I loved could betray me so easily. By the time Jessica came home, I was ready for a confrontation, but I didn't know how to start. I wanted to scream, to cry, to throw something, but I also wanted to hear her side of the story. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. I could be wrong, right? But deep down, I knew the truth. When she walked through the door, I couldn't mask my emotions. My heart raced and my stomach twisted into knots. She looked radiant, as always, with her hair falling perfectly over her shoulders, but it felt like a mask hiding a deeper truth. "Hey, babe, I'm back," she said, her voice cheerful. I forced a smile, trying to keep it together. I knew I had to address the elephant in the room. "Jessica, we need to talk." The air thickened as she looked at me, her smile fading. I could see the flicker of concern in her eyes, and a part of me wished I could take it all back, but I couldn't. The truth was out there, and I was ready to face it. I took a deep breath, feeling my heart pound in my chest as I prepared to unravel the web of lies that had consumed my life. The tension in the room was palpable as Jessica sat her purse down and looked at me, her brow furrowing. "What's wrong, honey?" she asked, her voice laced with a mixture of concern and confusion. I could barely hold my composure as I prepared to launch into a confrontation that I knew would change everything between us. "Jessica, I saw you today, with Matt. Don't try to deny it," I said, my voice low but steady. I wanted to sound strong, but inside me, emotions were battling for control. The anger I felt was bubbling beneath the surface, and I was worried I would lose it completely. Her eyes widened, and for a brief moment I could see genuine panic flicker across her face. "What are you talking about?" she asked, trying to play innocent, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. I was with some friends from work. You must have seen someone else. No, it was you, Jess. I know it was you. You got into his car and you were laughing. Don't lie to me. The floodgates opened and frustration poured out of me. How long has this been going on? She swallowed hard and I could see the gears turning in her mind. It's not what you think. Matt and I have been working on a project together. Sometimes we grab lunch. You know how it is at the office, things can get misconstrued, she stammered, her tone defensive. Misconstrued? Jessica, I've seen you two together and this isn't the first time I've felt something was off. I've seen the texts too. I could hardly believe I had brought myself to say it. The late nights, the phone locking, the secretive smiles, everything added up in a horrifying way. Her expression shifted from panic to indignation. So you've been snooping on me. Do you even trust me? I can't believe you would stoop so low. She crossed her arms, her face twisting in anger as if I was the one in the wrong. Trust? How can I trust you when you're out here betraying me? I shot back, my voice rising. You're making excuses and I'm done listening to them. Just admit it. There was a moment of silence, and I could hear her breathing heavily, the weight of the situation pressing down on us. I had hoped for an honest conversation, but instead I felt like I was talking to a stranger. I could see her resolve waver as she struggled to maintain her composure. Fine, I'll admit we've gotten close, but it's not what you think. I've been feeling overwhelmed and Matt, he just listened to me, okay? It didn't mean anything. Her voice was desperate, as if she was trying to convince both me and herself. Not mean anything. You don't just laugh and flirt with someone unless there's something there. You think I'm stupid. My heart raced as I spoke and the hurt overpowered my anger. You chose to betray me, Jess. Do you have any idea how that feels? I could see the facade cracking. The tears that pooled in her eyes were both an acknowledgement of guilt and a manipulation tactic. I'm sorry, I really am. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I love you, I swear, she pleaded, her voice breaking. Love. I scoffed, the word burning my throat. How can you say you love me when you're out with another man? That's not love, that's betrayal. You've made me question everything we built together. Her expression shifted to one of defiance and I could feel the tension in the air crackling. I was just looking for someone to talk to. You've been so busy with work lately, I felt alone. I didn't mean to hurt you, she replied, her voice lowering. Alone? You chose him. You could have talked to me, but you didn't. Instead, you went behind my back. Every word felt like a dagger, and I realized I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I was furious, heartbroken, and lost all at once. You have to believe me, please. I'll make it up to you, she continued, her voice now teetering between desperation and anger. I didn't think it was serious. It was just fun, a distraction. A distraction? You're telling me you needed a distraction from your husband. That's not a small thing, Jessica. You don't get to downplay this. It was as if I were standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down at the wreckage of our marriage, and I felt powerless. You want me to feel sorry for you? I asked, my voice shaky. Because I don't know how I can, you knew. What you were doing was wrong and you did it anyway. She took a step towards me, her eyes pleading. I'll stop seeing him, I promise. Just give me another chance. I'll change. I wanted to scream, to throw everything in that moment away, but I knew there had to be a part of me that remained rational. Was I really ready to throw everything we built together into the fire? My heart waged war with my mind, and with every passing second I grew more confused. As I stood there, staring into her eyes, the reality of our situation settled in like a weight on my chest. I could either let her manipulate my feelings or take a stand and protect my heart. But what did that even mean moving forward? I had to decide how to deal with the aftermath of this betrayal, and as hard as it felt, I knew I had to think clearly. The confrontation had revealed the cracks in our relationship, and the emotional impact of what she had done was starting to settle in. I was no longer the man who would simply forgive and forget. No, I needed to be the man who would reclaim his self-respect, and that was where the real battle had just begun. The air felt thick with tension as I stared into Jessica's eyes, trying to decipher whether the tears brimming in them were genuine or merely a performance. The emotional turmoil inside me was overwhelming. On one hand, I wanted to believe her. The memories of our happy times together flickered in my mind. The vacations, the shared laughter, the intimacy we had built over the years. But on the other hand, the betrayal stung like salt in a wound that refused to heal. Jessica, this isn't something you can just brush off, I said, my voice shaky but firm. You've shattered my trust. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now? I swear I'll do anything to fix this, she pleaded, her voice breaking as she reached for my hand. I love you, I didn't mean it. I was confused, and Matt, he just came along at the wrong time. Wrong time. You had a choice to make and you made it. You chose him over me. My heart felt heavy and the weight of the reality we were facing crashed down on me. I can't just forget about this, Jess. It's not that simple. She dropped her gaze, the tears now streaming down her face. There was a part of me that wanted to comfort her, but I couldn't shake the anger that boiled beneath the surface. I wondered if she was genuinely remorseful or just putting on a show to save her own skin. The dynamic that had once felt safe and secure now felt like quicksand, and I was sinking deeper with every passing moment. Please don't give up on us, she begged, her voice barely above a whisper. We can go to couples therapy, we can talk through this. I can work on myself, just let me prove it to you. Couples therapy. I hated the idea of dragging our problems into a room full of strangers, bearing our souls for the sake of saving a marriage that felt broken beyond repair. What makes you think therapy will help? You've already gone outside our marriage. How do I know you won't just do it again? Whoa. I promise. I'll stop seeing him, I'll do whatever it takes, she insisted, her eyes widening in desperation. I'll go to therapy alone if I have to, just don't give up on me. My mind raced as I processed her words. Deep down, I recognized that she was scared of losing everything she had. But fear alone wasn't enough to heal the wounds she had inflicted. I felt like a puppet on strings, caught between wanting to comfort her and needing to reclaim my own dignity. I took a step back, creating some distance between us. I need time, Jessica. I can't make any promises right now. I'm hurt and I don't know how to move forward from this. Her expression shifted from desperation to anger again. So that's it. You're just going to throw everything away. Do you even care how I feel? Care. Of course I care. But right now I'm trying to sort through this mess, and I need you to let me do that without playing the victim. I countered, my frustration rising. You made your choices, and now I have to deal with the consequences. The silence that followed felt like a chasm between us, filled with unspoken words and lingering resentment. Jessica turned away, wiping her tears, and I felt my heart clench. I wanted to comfort her, to hold her and tell her everything would be okay, but the truth was that I didn't know if it would be okay. As the day wore on, I found myself in a haze of confusion and despair. I wanted answers, a clear path forward, but every time I thought I had a sense of direction, the emotional weight pulled me back into uncertainty. I needed to think, to process everything that had just happened, and I realized I couldn't do that in the same space as Jessica. I think I need to get out of here for a while, I finally said, my voice low. I'm going to stay with a friend, I can't be here right now. Her eyes widened in disbelief. You can't be serious, you're just going to run away from our problems. It's not running away, Jess, it's giving us both space to breathe. I turned to grab my bag and felt her gaze burning into my back. I didn't want to look at her, not now. I call. Have a rational conversation with you when I'm this angry and hurt. Fine, go, she shouted, her voice rising as I reached the door. But don't think this is the end of us. I'll fight for you whether you want it or not. I paused for a moment, my hand resting on the doorknob, torn between the urge to turn back and console her and the desperate need to escape. I couldn't be the one to fix this, not when I felt like I was on the verge of collapse myself. With a heavy heart, I stepped out into the night, the door closing behind me with a finality that echoed in my mind. The cool air hit my face and I took a deep breath, letting it fill my lungs. The world outside felt surreal. I couldn't believe I was leaving my home, the place I had built with Jessica, the woman I thought I would grow old with. Picking up my phone, I dialed my friend Steve. He picked up after a few rings. Hey man, what's up? I need to crash at your place for a bit, I said, my voice shaky. Is everything okay? He asked, sensing the weight of my words. Not even close, I admitted, feeling the tears threaten to spill over. I'll explain when I get there. As I drove to his place, I felt a mix of emotions swirling inside me: rage, confusion, sadness. I realized I had just entered a new chapter of my life, one filled with uncertainty. I knew I had to figure out my next steps, but all I could think about was the betrayal that had shattered my sense of reality. The drive felt longer than usual, the road ahead blurred by my thoughts. I had to confront the reality of what I had just discovered, and somehow, I needed to find a way to reclaim my life. What I didn't realize at that moment was how much I would have to dig deep within myself to find the courage and strength needed to face the consequences of Jessica's choices and my own future. I arrived at Steve's place just after midnight, the weight of the evening's events still heavy on my shoulders. As I parked, I took a moment to breathe deeply, trying to shake off the tumultuous emotions that had plagued me since the confrontation with Jessica. I stepped out of the car and made my way to the front door, the late-night air cool against my skin. Steve opened the door almost immediately, concern etched on his face. "Dude, what happened?" he asked, stepping aside to let me in. I could see the worry in his eyes as I walked past him into his living room. The space was cluttered but familiar, filled with remnants of our college days, and it felt like a refuge amidst the chaos of my own life. I sank into the worn-out couch, running a hand through my hair. "It's Jessica," I began, my voice cracking as I delved into the story. I recounted everything: the late nights, the strange behavior, the discovery of her affair with Matt. Each word felt like a dagger, piercing at the heart of what I once thought was a solid relationship. "Man, I'm so sorry," Steve said, shaking his head. "I can't believe she'd do something like that. You deserve better." Hearing him say that felt comforting, but it didn't erase the pain. "I just don't understand how this happened. I thought we were happy. We had plans, Steve. We were going to buy a house, start a family. Now it feels like all of that is gone." Steve sat down next to me, leaning forward. "Look, I know it hurts now, but this isn't the end. You can't let her actions define your worth. You need to think about yourself and what you want moving forward." I listened, but my mind was a swirling fog. Part of me wanted to reconcile, to believe that she could change, but another part screamed that I needed to protect myself from further heartbreak. I told her I needed space. "I really don't know what to do next. Should I just cut her off completely, or try to work it out?" "Give yourself time to think," Steve advised. "You don't have to make any decisions right now. Just take a step back and breathe. You're going through a lot." We talked for hours, Steve doing most of the listening while I poured out my feelings like an open wound. I felt raw and vulnerable, yet relieved to share my burden. Eventually, fatigue settled in and I lay down on the couch, staring at the ceiling, my mind still racing. I slept restlessly that night, the images of Jessica with Matt haunting my dreams. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their laughter, the way she looked at him. I woke up in a cold sweat, the realization hitting me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a momentary lapse. It was a breach of trust that would take time to heal, if healing was even possible. The next morning, I woke early. Steve had left for work and I found myself alone in his apartment. I made a pot of coffee, trying to collect my thoughts. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the chaos in my mind. Should I text Jessica? Call her? I felt a mix of anger and longing, and the prospect of facing her again was daunting. I decided to take a walk, hoping the fresh air would clear my head. As I strolled through the neighborhood, I couldn't help but think of all the moments we had shared in our own neighborhood, strolling hand in hand, laughing at silly things, the little spots that held memories of our love. But now those memories felt tainted. A part of me wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. How could she betray us so easily? I was left questioning everything about our relationship, and I hated that I was in this position. Later in the day, I received a text from Jessica. "Can we talk? I miss you." The simple message sent my heart racing. I stared at it for what felt like an eternity, weighing my options. Did I want to talk? Did I want to hear her voice again? I was torn. Part of me wanted to hear her out, to see if there was any genuine remorse behind her words. But another part of me feared what would happen if I let her back in. What if she made more promises she wouldn't keep? After a long internal battle, I finally typed a response. "I need more time, Jess. I can't talk right now." I hit send, feeling a rush of relief mixed with guilt. I knew she was hurting too, but I had to be honest with myself first. As the days turned into weeks, I found a new rhythm to my life. Without Jessica, I stayed at Steve's, took long walks, and began to focus on myself, reading, reflecting, and trying to find solace in my own company. I explored new hobbies, things I had put on the back burner while prioritizing our relationship. Yet the ache of betrayal lingered. I had moments of weakness where I missed her, the way she fit into my life like a missing puzzle piece. But every time I thought about reaching out, the memories of her laughter with Matt would flood my mind, and the pain would remind me why I needed to remain strong. Eventually, after a month of silence, I received another message from her. "I've been going to therapy. I want to show you I can change. Can we meet?" This time, I felt a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Part of me wanted to see if she truly had changed, but another part of me was terrified of getting hurt again. I thought about everything we had lost and whether it was worth giving her one last chance. I took a deep breath, knowing this meeting could either lead to reconciliation or the final closure I desperately needed. I texted back, "Okay, let's meet." But inside, I was bracing myself for whatever might come next. I knew I had to protect my heart, but I was also curious to see if she could convince me that our love was worth fighting for. The day of the meeting arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves as I drove to the cafe where we had agreed to meet. I hadn't seen Jessica in over a month, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Part of me was holding on to a sliver of hope that she had genuinely changed, but another part was preparing for the possibility that this was just another performance, another round of empty promises. As I parked and walked toward the cafe, I felt my heart racing. Memories flooded my mind, the way she used to smile when she saw me, the warmth of her touch, the laughter we shared. But then the painful memory of her betrayal followed, like a dark shadow lurking behind those happier moments. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever conversation lay ahead. When I entered the cafe, I spotted Jessica sitting at a corner table. She looked different, perhaps a little more mature but still strikingly beautiful. Her hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail, and she wore a casual outfit that somehow made her look both relaxed and anxious at the same time. As our eyes met, I felt a jolt of conflicting emotions, longing, anger, confusion. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual as I approached her. "Hey," she replied, her voice quiet. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her hands as if they were betraying her anxiety. I sat down across from her, the silence stretching between us like a chasm. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for meeting me. I know things have been complicated." "Complicated is one way to put it," I replied, my tone sharper than I intended. She nodded, taking a deep breath as if gathering her thoughts. "I've spent the last month really reflecting on everything. I've been going to therapy, and I'm trying to understand why I made the choices I did. I don't want to make excuses, but I want to be honest about my struggles." "I appreciate you being honest, Jess," I said, feeling a flicker of curiosity. "But honesty isn't enough. Trust has been broken, and that's not something that can just be mended with words." "I know," she said, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I'm not asking for your forgiveness right away. I just want you to know I'm committed to changing. I never wanted to hurt you. I got caught up in my own issues, and I let it cloud my judgment." "Your issues?" I repeated incredulously. "Jessica, you need to understand that what you did affected more than just you. It shattered our entire relationship. You can't throw around your struggles as a justification for cheating on me." I know," she exclaimed, the frustration in her voice rising. "I just want you to understand that I've realized how selfish I was. I took you for granted, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to grow, and I want to earn your trust back, if you'll let me." I studied her face, searching for any hint of sincerity. Part of me wanted to see the girl I had fallen in love with beneath the pain and deceit. But I couldn't ignore how deep the wound ran. "How can I trust you, Jessica? You made a choice, and it was the wrong one. How do I know you won't just repeat the same pattern?" She leaned forward, desperation in her gaze. "I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I can promise I'll work hard to change. I can show you my therapy notes. I can talk about what I've learned. I just need a chance to prove that I'm serious about this." I felt the tightness in my chest ease just a fraction, but doubt lingered. "You say you want to change, but change takes time. Are you willing to put in that effort? not just for a week or a month, but for the long haul. Yes, I'm ready to do whatever it takes, she insisted, her voice steady. I know I've messed up and I'm not proud of it, but I don't want to lose you. I want to make this work. For a moment, I was silent, caught in the whirlwind of emotions. I wanted to believe her, to think that we could find a way back to what we once had, but I also feared that this was all part of a pattern that I was falling into again, believing in words instead of actions. Let's say I do decide to give this another shot, I began, choosing my words carefully. It requires both of us to commit to rebuilding what we had. You need to understand that I won't be able to just forget everything. It's going to take time and I need to see consistent changes. I understand, she said eagerly. I'm willing to put in the work. I'll go to therapy regularly and we can even go together if that helps. I won't rush you, I just want the opportunity to show you that I can be better. Her enthusiasm was almost infectious, but I remained guarded. You realize that if we do this, it's going to be a long process. There will be ups and downs, and I'll have my moments of doubt. You have to be prepared for that. I am, she replied, her voice steady. And I can't promise that it will be easy, but I want to try. I love you and I want to build a future with you if you'll let me. As I looked into her eyes, I saw a flicker of hope mingled with determination. Part of me wanted to believe her, but another part still warned me to tread cautiously. I couldn't ignore the pain of the past, but could there be a possibility of healing? Let's take it one step at a time, I said finally, my voice softer. I'm not ready to jump back into things, but if you're serious about working on yourself, then I'm willing to consider it. But I need to see consistent efforts. Jessica nodded, relief washing over her face. Thank you. I promise I won't let you down again. As we continued to talk, the conversation became easier, flowing naturally as we revisited old memories and shared hopes for the future. Yet, I was acutely aware that this was just the beginning of a long and challenging road, one that would require both of us to confront our past and redefine what we wanted together. Leaving the cafe that day felt like stepping into a new reality. My heart was still heavy with doubt, but there was a spark of hope igniting within me. The journey ahead was uncertain, and I knew the potential for pain still lingered. But for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of possibility, the chance to rebuild something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal. As I drove home, I reflected on the conversation. I knew I had to keep my guard up, but perhaps, just maybe, we could find a way to navigate this complicated path together. The road to healing would be long, and only time would tell if the decisions we were making would lead to a brighter, more honest future. In the days that followed our meeting at the cafe, the air felt charged with possibility. Jessica and I began a tentative journey of rebuilding. She committed to therapy, attending sessions regularly, and I could see her making an effort to address her feelings and the reasons behind her previous choices. Every week she would share insights from her sessions, and rather than sounding rehearsed, her reflections began to feel genuine. We started to communicate openly, a practice we had neglected for so long. Each evening, we would sit down with cups of coffee or glasses of wine and talk about our days, our feelings, our fears. It felt strange and refreshing at the same time, but even as we began to bridge the gap that had developed between us, I couldn't shake the underlying anxiety. It hovered in the back of my mind, waiting for the moment I would slip back into doubt. One night, as we sat together, Jessica turned to me with a serious expression. "I want us to go to couples therapy," she suggested. "I think it could help us navigate what happened and how we can move forward." I was taken aback. "Really? You think that would help?" "Absolutely," she said, her eyes earnest. "I want to ensure we're on the same page and working through this together. I don't want to hide from it. I want to face it head on." Her willingness to confront our issues head on surprised me, and for the first time I felt a flicker of hope. We scheduled our first session for the following week, and as the day approached, I felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Would it be a step toward healing or another painful reminder of our past? The therapy session was unlike anything I had anticipated. Our therapist, Sandra, was warm and inviting, creating a safe space for us to share our thoughts and feelings. Jessica opened up about her struggles, her feelings of inadequacy, the pressure of expectations, and how she had let herself feel isolated. I listened, feeling a mixture of empathy and sadness as she laid bare her vulnerabilities. When it was my turn to speak, I shared my pain and confusion, the betrayal that had rocked my world, and how it had left me questioning my own worth. Sandra guided us gently, helping us communicate without falling into old patterns. I could see the sincerity in Jessica's eyes as we spoke, and it felt as if a barrier was finally starting to lift. Each session brought its own challenges, but the progress we made was undeniable. Jessica's commitment to her personal growth and our relationship began to shine through. She worked on building trust by being transparent about her actions, sharing her phone password, and even inviting me to join her in activities that helped her feel supported. As weeks turned into months, our relationship transformed. We found moments to laugh again, to connect, and to share dreams about the future. We talked about our hopes for a family, the kind of home we wanted, and the adventures we would embark on together. Those conversations allowed me to envision a life beyond the betrayal, and I found myself wanting to believe in us again. But the journey wasn't without its bumps. There were days when the memories of her infidelity crept back in, leading to painful conversations about jealousy and insecurity. There were times when Jessica would feel overwhelmed by her past actions, and I would need to remind her that we were moving forward, not dwelling in the past. Each challenge, however, brought us closer in our commitment to work through them together. One night, as we sat on the couch watching a movie, I turned to her and asked, "Do you think we can really rebuild what we had? Can we make it work?" She looked at me, her expression resolute. "I believe we can. I know I messed up, but I'm determined to show you that I can be the partner you deserve. I want us to be stronger than we were before." Her words resonated deep within me, and I realized I did believe in the possibility of a renewed relationship. There was still a long way to go, but we had both committed to this journey. The more we faced our fears and insecurities, the more I found myself falling in love with her all over again. As we continued to grow together, I learned to embrace the idea that relationships are not always perfect. They require effort, understanding, and patience. I had to learn to forgive not only her but myself for allowing doubt to creep in. Forgiveness and healing took time, but with each passing day, we were writing a new chapter filled with hope and resilience. As I look back on that painful period of betrayal, I recognize that it was a turning point in my life. It taught me the importance of communication, the significance of facing challenges head-on, and the power of forgiveness. I learned that love is not just a feeling, it's a choice we make every day. Though the road ahead may still hold uncertainties, I know that Jessica and I are committed to navigating it together. Our journey has transformed us both, and I've come to understand that sometimes, from the wreckage of heartbreak, something truly beautiful can emerge.